Survival was never about what we carry in our hands, but what we cultivate in our minds. Long before the shelves were full and the screens never slept, humans survived with little more than awareness, intuition, and an unbroken dialogue with reality. Yet here we are, drowning in objects, armored in convenience, and still terrified of collapse. We confuse preparedness with possession, wisdom with accumulation, safety with control. We pack our lives like bunkers, believing that more gear will save us from a future we don't understand. But the truth whispers beneath the noise. The heaviest load we carry is not what's in our bags, but what's missing in our thinking. In a world obsessed with tools, we forgot how to see. In a culture addicted to speed, we forgot how to listen. Survival, real survival, has always been an inner skill, long before it was an outer one. Look around. The modern world moves like a machine without a pause button. People rush from desire to desire, purchase to purchase, upgrade to upgrade, convinced that readiness lies in what they own rather than how they perceive. Closets overflow while minds feel empty. Calendars are full while souls feel abandoned. We prepare for every imagined disaster with equipment, yet remain helpless when silence enters the room. We fear power outages but cannot endure a moment without stimulation. We buy security systems, yet leave our awareness unlocked. This is the paradox of our time. We are surrounded by resources and starved of resilience. We are technologically advanced and psychologically fragile. We have forgotten that survival is not the art of hoarding objects, but the discipline of clarity in chaos. The illusion was planted early. More is better. Faster is smarter, heavier is safer. Society taught us that readiness looks like accumulation, that strength is measured by inventory, that intelligence is proven by complexity. But complexity does not equal wisdom. Excess does not equal security. When the mind depends on tools, it weakens its own instincts. When life is padded with convenience, perception dulls. We lose the ability to adapt because adaptation cannot be bought. It must be practiced. Survival thinking is not about what you add to your life, but what you remove until only the essential remains. Yet the modern world fears essentials because essentials cannot be sold in bulk. An anxious mind seeks control through objects. A restless culture seeks comfort through consumption, and so we build lives heavy with things and light on presence. We accumulate gear for scenarios we may never face, while ignoring the mental discipline required for the ones we face every day. Stress, uncertainty, loss, change. These are the true survival environments of modern life. No backpack prepares you for emptiness. No tool replaces discernment. No gadget can substitute for the ability to stay calm when plans collapse. We train for disasters, but neglect the daily erosion of attention, patience, and inner strength. The real collapse happens quietly, when thinking becomes outsourced and awareness goes offline. Minimalism is not an aesthetic, it is a survival philosophy. It strips life down to what functions, what nourishes, what matters. In nature, excess is a liability. A creature burdened with unnecessary weight does not survive long. Simplicity is not weakness, it is evolutionary intelligence. Yet humans resist this truth because simplicity exposes the mind. Without distraction, we are left with ourselves. Without noise, we hear the questions we have avoided. Survival thinking demands confrontation with reality as it is, not as it is packaged for comfort. It requires the courage to observe, to adapt, to respond instead of react. It is the quiet intelligence that does not panic when systems fail, because it never depended on them to begin with. We are trained to fear the wrong things. We fear being unprepared, yet refuse to prepare our minds. We fear scarcity, yet manufacture excess. We fear uncertainty, yet numb ourselves with routines that blind us to change. The modern survival myth tells us safety comes from external solutions, but history tells a different story. Those who survived were not those with the most supplies, but those with the sharpest awareness, the deepest adaptability, the calmest judgment. Thinking is lighter than gear. Awareness travels faster than tools. Presence costs nothing and weighs nothing, yet it is the most reliable resource we possess. Still, we trade it daily for distraction. The more we carry, the less we notice. The more we depend, the less we adapt. This is the quiet tragedy of abundance. When everything is available, nothing is valued. When solutions are instant, thinking becomes optional. We scroll past wisdom while searching for hacks. We buy readiness while neglecting resilience. But survival thinking cannot be downloaded. It is forged in stillness, in observation, in the willingness to sit with discomfort until understanding emerges. It is cultivated when we slow down enough to perceive patterns, when we live with enough simplicity to hear intuition speak. The mind that survives is not cluttered, it is clear. There is a forgotten freedom in having less. Less to manage, less to protect, less to lose. When possessions no longer define security, awareness takes its rightful place. A simple life sharpens perception. A slower rhythm restores judgment. When you are not overwhelmed by excess, you notice the subtle signals of reality. You see change before it arrives. You feel imbalance before collapse. This is ancient intelligence, buried beneath modern noise. Survival is not about resisting change, but flowing with it. And flow requires attention, not equipment. Deceleration is not laziness, it is strategic awareness. In a world addicted to speed, slowing down becomes an act of intelligence. When you slow your life, your thinking deepens. When you simplify your environment, your mind becomes agile. You no longer react blindly, you respond deliberately. You stop confusing motion with progress and accumulation with safety. You realize that survival is not a dramatic event, but a continuous state of readiness rooted in clarity. A calm mind sees options where panic sees walls. A present mind adapts while distracted minds freeze. At the deepest level, survival thinking is spiritual. It is the recognition that life is impermanent, that control is an illusion, and that peace comes not from dominance over circumstances, but harmony with them. When you accept impermanence, fear loosens its grip. When you release excess, freedom expands. You begin to trust your capacity to respond rather than your ability to predict. This trust is not naive optimism, it is grounded awareness. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can think clearly, even when everything else is uncertain. This is the survival skill no crisis can take away. The future will not belong to those with the most gear, but to those with the clearest minds. To those who can observe without panic, decide without haste, and move without excess. The revolution will not be loud. It will not be televised. It will happen silently, inside individuals who choose simplicity over accumulation, presence over distraction, thinking over hoarding. Survival isn't about what you own. It's about how you see. And the moment you simplify your life, you sharpen your mind. That is where true survival begins.